Silberspiegel. Otherwise, you can be sure as soon as the old lady pops her clogs, this place will become run over by those infernal tourists.
Can you tell me about this Devil's Pass?
Oh, it's on the far side of the cirque, looking out from the terrace. As you can imagine, it's called Devil's Pass because it's extremely dangerous. Most of all because of the risk of avalanche. Only seasoned alpinists can negotiate it really. As a professional alpinist myself, what I love about it is knowing I'm climbing in the tracks of courageous climbers of bygone times. There's a real sense of history about it. For example, resistance fighters used it during the war to smuggle vagrants and other victims of the Brown Shadow into Switzerland.
Is that the path they've closed that leads from the refuge?
That's right.
Thought so. I saw the notice.
They've blocked it off so the helicopter can airlift the frozen bodies from the bottom of the pass. Meantime, they have set up a temporary chapel of rest, as you can see.
Well, that's moving. It's important to show respect, even after all these years. I've had some experience with fantastic fauna myself. But what do you make of the so-called strange creature that roams the mountain?
Just another local fairy tale to pull in the tourists, if you ask me. They say it lives in prehistoric caves. And that it's responsible for people going missing. Ooh. Some even say that the mysterious cries you can hear on some nights are the creature calling for a mate. In other words, the usual twaddle you normally get in remote or uncharted places like the high mountain or the deep sea. Twaddle passed down from generation to generation, through sheer ignorance.
Surely, from what I read on the way here, the cries could come from an animal native to the area, couldn't they?
That is my thinking exactly. No doubt a bear with something caught in his throat. It happens, you know. Probably scared a tourist one evening, or... maybe it was young pranksters.
What about those frozen bodies they discovered at the foot of Devil's Pass?
Well, due to climate change, the snow line has receded, revealing the bodies trapped in the ice since the Second World War. Most probably resistance fighters and exiles, trying to flee the fascist occupiers and reach Switzerland by the pass. I imagine they got caught in an avalanche. Poor wretches have been imprisoned ever since. Until today. That is why the authorities have blocked access to the pass, so they can take the bodies out, identify them, and give them a proper burial.
I see. I saw the tent at the foot of the pass through the spyglass outside. Didn't realize it sheltered such a gruesome discovery, though. Right. Thanks for cluing me in. Anyway, I better get back to what I was doing.
You are welcome, Fräulein. If you get a chance, have a look at the Silberspiegel at sunset. The colors are a marvel of nature.
Reminds me of Hans's automatons in Valladolid. A mechanical stove. Seen better days. Another object with the look of the Vorarlberg workshop. Lenny's father must have made this stair lift to help her get up and down the stairs. Must have taken him many hours. It's touching when you think about it. Reminds me of Hans's automatons in Valladolid. An old book? The Magic Mountain by Thomas Mann? Funny. My grandparents left me a copy before they died when I was a kid. I should get around to reading it someday. The dormitories. I wonder how many people stop at the refuge these days. This must be Lenny's room. Not sure I'm allowed in here, really. Keep your servant also from willful sins. May they not rule over me. Then I will be blameless, innocent of great transgression. Sweet. Photos of the refuge. Looks like they're arranged by time period. There are no photos of the occupation of Vaughan by the Brown Shadow. I guess that corresponds to when Lenny and her father had to leave the refuge. These date from before the war. There's even one from the summer when Dana worked at the refuge. All these photos go up to the 80s, including my date of birth. This series ends at 2002, 3 years ago, when I began my journey with Oscar and Hans's train. That's pretty impressive. Obviously helps Lenny get up and about. She's still sitting there, watching. Wonder what she's thinking about. Austere. Looks like a storage room. It's cold in here. Another of those cigar butts. There. But who could have left it open? take-up reel, like the ones used on old cinema projectors. I must remember to ask Lenny about it. So much going on in these mountains, now and before. But I'd better get back on track, or I'll end up renting a room from Demoiselle Lenny and explore the area for weeks. Don't want to break my neck, thank you very much. This must be Yunta's coffer, the one Lenny spoke about. Amazing. Now it shows the view from the terrace. Don't want to break my neck, thank you very much. Take-up reel, like the ones used on old cinema projectors. I'll need a key to open it. Vaughan Refuge, 1937. Yunta's films, taken during the summer Dana worked here. This one says Lenny, director. So I guess Lenny did get to make her film after all. A film developing company. They probably developed Yunta's films and sent them back once they were done. No doubt Yunta must have written this. Summer 1937. The year Dana worked here. Let's see. I filled my last diary last night. Ordered another one, but still waiting for supplies to be delivered to the refuge. Using an old envelope in the meantime. Today invited Dana for a chat after her shift.
I'd like to know what Leon sees in her. I've never seen him so smitten. Thanks for popping up, Dana. How did the shift go?
Fine, same as usual.
Just finishing up here, then I'll make us a nice cup of tea.
Wow, that looks futuristic. What is it?
Ah, that little baby is my viewer. That's why it goes in the coffer.
What does it do?
I use it to put together and edit the rushes.
The what?
Rushes. In other words, the strips of unedited footage. I've finished today's selection, so be a dear and put it in the coffer, would you?
I would if I knew how.
Oh, just turn the key in the lock. Take the key in the coffer, Dana, my sweet.
The key Yunta asked me to hide.
Dana, be a darling and put the key somewhere safe. You can't be too careful with these mountain people, especially with that little Lenny sniffing around my equipment all the time.
I think you ought to know. On the night we first met, when that horrible Huss made such a fuss, I caught Lenny playing with one of your camera lenses.
I knew it! I just knew she was rummaging in my things. I'll make that little brat sorry we ever met. Believe me.
Where do you normally put it?
I have a little hiding place over there.
Is this where you want me to put the key?
Yes, there's a dear.
It's a handy hiding place. Who made it?
Oh, Herr Gustav. He knows only too well that some customers have their little secrets, you know.
Yunta's key should be safe in there.
Just need to finish preparing for the filming tomorrow, then we can chat away to our heart's content. If you could just fetch me a new roll of film from the darkroom, then we're done.
This is where Yunta's bed used to be, which means her secret stash can't be far. Impossible.
Get away!
Yunta's coffer key.
Did you take the photos of the athletes? You're not often lonely then.
Well, look at our sweet little waitress. Doesn't she have a saucy mind? It's called art, dear. My work aims to explore every facet of youth and the vitality of bodies.
I bet it does. I love your photos.
Ah, well, they each represent an element of mountain wildlife and flora I've photographed recently. I use them as a sort of checklist.
A checklist, huh? Here are the film rolls Yunta asked me for. All these newspaper clippings mention the Brown Shadow. According to Father, their influence is growing among the population. Now that I've had the misfortune of meeting Herr Huss here, I understand his concern. Did you take this picture?
Of course.
And Herr Huss, what's he doing with the Origin expedition?
Unfortunately, all scientific expeditions sponsored by the Brown Shadow come with a chaperone like him. There to make sure their funds are used as they see fit. In other words, that there is no divergence with regards to their ideology.
How did you get to film them training?
Oh, it was a commission. Lucky, really. Right place, right time kind of thing. Of course, I jumped at the chance because it meant I could film Leon in action at last.
How did you and Leon get together? I mean, how did you...
We're just friends, if that's what you want to know.
Herr Gustav's radio. Looks like he customized it, probably to compensate for the wave disturbance due to the mountains.
Darn it. The end of Yunta's notes. Impossible to know what happened next. But maybe I can figure out how to open the coffer from what I've read.
That's a lot of equipment you have there. If you don't mind my asking, how do you manage to pay for it all?
Oh, that's easy. Especially when you know a few generous patrons of the arts, dear.
Darn it. The end of Yunta's notes. According to Yunta's notes, there was a room on the other side. I can't reach it anymore, but Dana could. Where can I find the combination for the mechanism? Interesting footage. Let's see what's on the other reel.